They were just like tearing me apart because I was wearing like a members only jacket, but it was like a knockoff members only jacket. It wasn't even
Oh,
it was a retro, but I couldn't find one. So I had this like knockoff, and Boxy D and all of them were just going off on me. That's when Boxy D was still around, and they're going
right.
off on me and making fun of me. So then the second time I came in, I did like done all this research, and I just walked in and I started boom, 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 boom. I'm like, you're here to promote your career. You don't actually care about these topics. You're here to like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So we're live, and
Okay.
joined this hour by Joshua Silverstein, who is an incredible beatboxer, segue comedian between beatboxing guy who's done so much, and it's so incredible. Josh, can you tell us a little bit about you know
Yeah.
being here in
Yeah.
LA and open mic scene and
Sure.
yeah.
So first off, I'm a native Angelino, and my parents are as well, and my grandparents lived out most of their lives in Los Angeles on both sides of my family. And my parents come from activism. So on my father's side, my very Jewish side, my grandmother and grandfather were very heavily involved in the Democratic Party, and they held like campaigns in their home right over here on San Vicente. My grandfather helped build the LA Towers, which at the time was the tallest buildings in LA. My mom's side, my grandmother moved out here and early on and settled in with her family, and they took up a big part of LA culture. My dad was the LA high school mascot, and they were, and so my mother being African American and my father being white and Jewish, their trajectory went through all kinds of, the obvious hate and anger that they had to deal with. And so I come from activism roots. And so when I finished high school, I went to this art school that I didn't enjoy, and I finished it real quick. And right before I graduated to college, I had planned this trip to Egypt. I was just going to leave and be there and just experience life in Egypt. And then I started going to the Poetry Lounge. So this is like 2000, so the Poetry Lounge has just kind of started. And ask Josh questions. And so I was very much taken with the spoken word community, because I had made friends with D Knowledge when I was in high school, and I was a fan of his work. And because of my activism, I had experienced like the Watts poets, and so I come from a lot of these poets that were in my community before I even knew that there was a spoken word scene made up of young people in LA. Like, God, my brain just farted. But what's his name? Miri Baraka was a friend of my family's growing up, and so wow. I didn't know that world was there for me. And so all of a sudden, there's the Poetry Lounge. And I saw people my own age get up and talking about what they were passionate about. And I had just come out of a situation where high school for me was me defining my activism roots, and me and an old buddy of mine started a group called the Association for African American Students. And so I was this young cat in high school who was like, don't support this, and we got to protest that. And we had our walkouts, and that was in the LA Times. And I just didn't have a community of people who felt strongly about anything other than my boy and I, because at the time, the people that were my age were like, nah, we want to party and drink and smoke. And I wasn't doing that. So Poetry Lounge was like a nice place where you go, oh, there are people who have these strong opinions, who are my age, who are brown and multicultural and have things to say that's not necessarily the norm. And I fell in love with it. And then I left the country. And so when I got back, I found that there was this weird segmented experience that I was having, which was I had theater roots, I had writing roots, I had spoken word roots, but I also had tremendous stage fright. And so my hip hop roots being very much attached to Dougie Fresh and Rozelle and Biz Markie and the very first concert I went to was Bobby McFerrin I have been beatboxing, and it was never a career choice. It was never like, I'm going to be this beatboxer. Like, I kind of wanted to be an actor, and I kind of wanted to do theater, but I was just, for whatever reason, I hit a place in my life where I had not only developed a speech impediment, but I also was just painfully insecure.
Yeah.
And so going to Egypt and coming back, I had kind of found myself, but I wasn't quite comfortable with being on stage with these poets who had been doing it and really kind of found their voice. I hadn't found my voice yet. And so that's the long backstory. So fast forward, through all that, insecurity and chaos, I had this stick to itness that made me go to the spoken word scene every single day of the week. Like, I had nothing going on. So I went to the poetry lounge on Tuesdays. I went to Mike and Dim Lights on Thursdays. I was doing all of it. I met the guys who were their staple beatboxers in their own spoken word scene. So you had my boy Mufasa, who was the staple of Mike and Dim Lights. And then at the poetry lounge, in Q's beatboxer was a guy named Case in Point, who became a friend of mine. So I was coming in beatbox hungry, and really it was just because I wanted to be on stage. So I was doing it all the time, and I was anything, yes to everything. Can you beatbox? Yeah, of course, whatever you want. And so the short story is, I teamed up with Bridget Gray, who was very big at the time, and we had our pieces together. What if We Kiss was one of our pieces people became really, really fond of, and we would do that at like Temple Bar and all over LA. And so I slowly became, because of how much I was doing it with poets and performers, like the beatbox staple of Los Angeles. And because I had all this background in theater and improvisation, I knew how to hear poets and predict where they were going and create soundscapes that were supportive of them. And so I wasn't in this space of trying to show the world how dope I was. I just wanted to be on stage with someone, and I wanted to perform in a way that was more about effectiveness, like what sounds the best. So while you had beatboxers who were like battling and like trying to be the best beatboxer, I was just trying to like be the best version of me. And so that takes me to kind of like, I guess you could say that kind of, so 2003 is where things kind of explode, and Norman Lear does this poetry scout across the nation. He stumbles upon a copy of the Declaration of Independence in the back of a painting at an auction, and decides that he wants to tour this document because the election's coming up. This is the first election that this is Gore and Bush, right? And so Norman wants to get youth involved in the political system. He wants youth to vote because youth weren't turning out previously to this election. So he does a whole scout. He finds me doing a show and goes, "What's this beatboxing?" Auditions other beatboxers. I win that round.
Wait.
He gets Steve Connell.
So he discovers you beatboxing.
Yeah.
And says, "Bring me others."
Yeah.
He's like, compete with him.
Yeah. He's like, there's got to be more than this guy. And so because he had never heard of it, this Norman Lear had never heard of beatboxing, didn't know it was a thing. And because I was doing it so different than what he saw, I just kept sticking out in his mind. And so he would bring me in, and he was developing this tour. And the weirdness about this thing was Norman wanted it to be nonpartisan. So he couldn't fund it himself, or else it would be too much of an agenda attached to it. So he wanted to get his buddies. Now, when I say Norman Lear's buddies, I mean Warren Beatty, Jelka Houston, Joe Pesci. So he would bring me around these people and be like, "Yo, perform." And so it'd be me and another poet that he would pin me with. And we would create on the spot this beautiful experience for these A-list celebrities in hopes that they would donate. So, I mean, I want you to picture me, I must have been, I think I had just hit my 20s. So I'm in a boardroom with Joe Pesci and all his goons. and it's very intimidating. I mean, it feels like Goodfellas. Like, it feels like that's what's gonna happen. Like, I'm gonna die if I don't do this right. Like, and Eitan Kadosh. So it's me and Eitan Kadosh, and we're doing whatever's happening. Eitan's doing poems. I'm beatboxing. We're making this really cool thing to impress Joe Pesci, just Joe Pesci. And so that's what it was for like months. Like, you know, and it was
just Joe Pesci, or were there other people brought in?
It was just Joe Pesci and his like bodyguards.
So you had to like prove yourself to Joe Pesci over and over and over again?
It was like a weird, twisted American Idol, like a weird, it's just like being like, and I got this huge theater background, so I'm in this room with people who I admire. I'm like, I love Joe Pesci. Like, Joe Pesci's only done like 10 movies, and they're all great. Well, Out to Sea is terrible, but whatever. You know, for the most part, Joe Pesci, we all know he's an amazing actor. But so I'm in this room with like stars that I want to be like, I want to work with you. I don't want you to fund this tour. And I'm just beatboxing and I'm doing my best. But that's what it was. It was like, okay, Joe Pesci passed because it ain't for him. But okay, we'll do my house party. So Warren Beatty, Angelica Houston's husband who passed away, the painter, I can't remember his name. And Annette Bening, and they're all in the room, and we're at Norman's house in his living room, and it's me and Bridget Gray and Gina Loring and Steve Connell and Sekou, and we're just performing for them with no real context of like what the show is yet, because Norman doesn't know. Norman just knows I want poets and I want beatboxing and I want to tour it to colleges. So, long story short, the first leg of the tour is just Steve Connell, myself, and this actress named Crystal, who we never saw again. And we ended up going to Tennessee, and we had this very rough show where it was about voting, you know. And this is kind of like Rock the Vote was the thing still, and like Puffy was making his thing, his voting campaign, and
Vote or Die.
Vote or Die. Right. And so we're kind of in the mix. And so we do this one show in Tennessee and we come back and take notes. And then all of a sudden it's silence. And then nothing happens for about a year. And then he takes Poets Only on tour. He grabs a DJ. That DJ is J Period, who I don't know if you know who that is, but he's gone on to be the Roots DJ. And then I come back on board. And for about basically 3 years, we were part of this tour that would be gone for lengths at a time. And because it was not funded, it wasn't a great tour. We would do, you know, we would get notice of like, you're doing the DNC. And we're like, all right, but you're doing it outside. And you're like, oh, well, so we're not really doing the DNC. Or they'll be like, you're doing Macy's. You're like, all right, the perfume department. You're like, oh, wait a minute. So like, it's not, you know, we did call it. We toured.
It would look like you were protesting it, like you're beat protesting. Yeah.
And so we do this tour. And so what's funny about this time is because I'm the beatboxer who beat out Rozelle and all these other cats, like I become an immediate name within the spoken word scene and within the beatbox scene. So all of a sudden I make a name for myself, but no one knows that the tour is not this thing that you know, like, because also you got to remember that we're running on the same sideline as like the Def Poetry Jam tour. So we're at the same time. So like poetry is kicking right now. And this is before HBO picks up the thing, you know. So this is like we're on the cusp of all of a sudden spoken words becoming mainstream. So everyone thinks that this Norman Lear thing is huge, but it ended up being kind of this disappointing experience because, well, number one, Bush wins. So, you know, we're in New York when we're watching all the states go red. And so it was the highest voting turnout amongst young people for that time. And that was great. But apparently they all voted for Bush. And so we're like, we did it, or did we do it? You know? And then the tour was over.
Yeah.
And so we had we had also picked up Kenny Ortega as a director, and
Right.
I don't know if he is. He's like the director of Dirty Dancing and all the High School Musicals. He became a friend, and but it was just, you know, it was me and Gina Lawrence, Sekou and Steve and Maida Del Valle and Bosia and Marty McConnell, and it was like all these amazing performers in one system. So the ego is magnified, and I'm the youngest guy on the tour. And it was so intense, and there wasn't any real direction, and it was just like, it was really intense. And then it ended, and that was it. And we were all kind of like, oh, what now? And there was nothing, and it wasn't anyone's fault. You know, a lot of us stayed friends with Norman. You know, Norman came to my solo show a couple years ago, and you know, the man's like, I don't know, 90 something, and he's still like strong as a whip in regards to his mind. And but yeah, so that tour is kind of what made me, you know, beatboxer Joshua Silverstein. Now, while that's happening, I'm also becoming partners with Joe Hernandez-Kolsky. And Joe Hernandez-Kolsky and I end up developing our own show. And so we've been doing stuff for 17 years. Yeah.
So you say, well, this is happening, but I mean, Joe's not on the tour. So how do you and Joe get?
So, and remember, I said like when the tour wasn't happening, like we were gone for like months at a time.
Otherwise, that'd be quite the turn on me.
Yeah, I would. So if the tour wasn't like, if we were on salary, so that meant like if we didn't have dates, we're still getting paid. So there would be stretches of time where we would have no shows, and so I'd be at home. And so if I was home, I was still doing shows in LA. And so I was doing stuff with Bridget still at Temple Bar. I was still doing stuff with there's Jahiza Anabu or Rachel Can, or there was this one woman from Oakland. Her name was Jennifer Johns, and she had her own spot because, you know, at the time, like everyone had a spot. And so I was doing a thing. And so Joe and I became friends through an event called Collab. That was Rachel Can's thing. And so off the tour, I came into Collab, and I became the house beatboxer for Collab. And Collab was an event kind of before your time, Matt, where it was about bringing artists of all walks of life together, and they had to be accompanied by whatever band was there. So if you wanted to sign up, you got to perform with someone. And people were always picking the beatboxer because I was easy to work with. And so Joe came up, did a piece, and he's like, and I think it was called, the piece was about Love Supreme, or I think like that. And I said, all right, well, I'll beatbox my version of Coltrane's Love Supreme. So I did that, and that became our piece. And that was kind of it. And then I also joined Downbeat 720, which he had been doing for a year with Jedi, who I had known through Green, the open mic in LA. So it was all kind of like, just, I was out all the time. And so I was meeting so many people. I was always performing. And so Joe and I, around 2005, 2003, he's doing his solo show, and he's like, hey, I want you to beatbox in it. And so I said, okay. And I'm leaving tour practice and driving to Venice. So I'm going from Beverly Hills to Venice to be in Joe's show. And then I end up doing his show for a run. And then we kind of cement our friendship. I get really involved with Downbeat. And then around 2007, Joe and I and Melinda Corazon Foley and Alfie do this show sponsored by CTV called the Latino Laugh Festival, of which none of us are Latino except for Joe. So we do this show, this four-person show. Yeah, Pocho. And we do this 4-person show, and then Joe and I create great social commentary pieces in that show. We create a lot of vulnerable pieces, and we decided we want to keep working together. And that was like 07, 06, and we've been performing every year since then. And as of late, we had our own show once a month over at Broadwater Stage that ran for about a year, and then the quarantine happened. And up until yesterday, we've been doing a weekly comedy show on Instagram Monday through Friday, where we bring on musical guests and everything. So there you go.
So this is gonna have people that will tune in this later now, whenever. It's a wide spectrum of different people that are my Facebook friends, right? So for those who are not aware, can you explain to them what Green was? 'Cause a lot of a lot of people got their start at Green. So tell us about the venue Green.
Okay, so at the time you got the Poetry Lounge, and then you got open mics that are also in Leimert Park, but the ones that are the biggest open mic is the Poetry Lounge, and it's just because of the space and because of it, the consistency. It attracts the largest audience. Attached to Fairfax High School. It's every Tuesday, and it's versatile, right? So, and it's like the epitome of like pop culture in that moment. Like it's young cats are doing it. It's very hip hop influenced, and so it's like the hub for young people who are. Yeah, like it's like around the corner. People are lined up around the corner. So then you got Damon, who comes into the Poetry Lounge, who's is part of that circle people, and he wants in. He wants to start his own event. So he ends up bringing a select crowd of people to a coffee shop called Tanner's, and Tanner's is in Culver City. And they start doing Green there. And Green is on Thursdays. And it's kind of like, because of the size of the space, it's at a coffee shop. It attracts a different kind of crowd. It attracts the Venice crowd. It attracts people who don't go to the lounge because it's too packed. It's too much Hollywood vibe for them, they feel like. And so Green is like the alternative to the lounge. And then it moves venues to a space next to the Good Hurt. I don't even think it's there anymore. On Venice Boulevard, and it stays the same day, and it attracts Jedi as the DJ, and so Jedi's there every Thursday, and Damon hosts, and this is where I become close to Rat Pack Slim and Ebony, and I meet Des Hope through Green, and I meet this cat named Unsane, who's an amazing MC. And I meet, a slew of other people who are like, they're not the Poetry Lounge. They're Green. They're abstract. And then what ends up happening is Damon decides he doesn't want to do it anymore. Rat Pack becomes the main host. I step in as co-host. And then we end up, because of the venue, moving to the Unurban Cafe, where we attract even more abstract individuals. You get people like we get this dude named Manuel, and we get Sam Scows there, and his at the time soon to become wife, Lara Apuni is there, and Taurus is there, and like all these cats who are amazing writers and poets, but just maybe don't appreciate the feeling they get when they're at the lounge. So Green becomes the home, and these cats commit. And what's formed out of that space is Nondescript, which is a band of me and Jedi and Unsane and Slim. And we got Micah Chambers Goldberg, who comes to paint. So we got Azakwe, who comes to paint. I mean, it just becomes like, whereas the Poetry Lounge is huge and it's this big community of people, Green was like insular, and it kind of felt like, it's where you came in, like you took off the robe a little bit and you just kind of got down to like, you're reading off paper. There's not a time limit. No one's scratching you off. It's just a little more grassrooty kind of thing. And then we ended up moving to, this club, and then, we stopped doing it and everyone moved. But yeah, man. So Green was Green for about, God, I think we did it for like eight or 9 years. We ran Green, and that event definitely was the hub for a lot of not, it was ageless. The lounge feels young. Even now it feels young. The Green was like grown people coming in, so folks that off the street. Yeah.
What folks that what?
I said people that were like we would get people who were homeless coming in and doing poetry at Green. Yeah.
So you named many a talented and or nefarious individual, or too many to like get to really give them all justice. But the one that popped in my mind that like, can you tell our audience a little bit about this individual, Manuel?
Oh man. So Manny. All right. So okay. Listen. There are people in this world who you just gotta let be who they are, and you gotta. Art is about infinite expression, and I'd say the best way to describe Manuel, because the dude as a human being is like one of the sweetest, quietest people. He's nice. He's gentle. He's got tremendous stage fright. I've seen Manuel not show up to features twice because he just couldn't do it. Couldn't handle it. Like he just doesn't show up. Paul Maybon had him on the bill for his own event. Man, he didn't show up. I've seen it happen. On stage, he is quite possibly the most offensive, demonstrative person. Like if there wasn't Trump, there'd be Manuel, right? Like that's what he was. Like he was. If Trump. Okay, so you know how today Trump was like, I was just kidding when he said, you should drink the bleach. Like when he was like, I was just being sarcastic. Like, of course, don't drink these chemicals. If Trump really was being sarcastic, he'd be Manuel. Like that's kind of the thing. Like, Trump was like, I'm fucking with y'all the whole time. I'm kidding. Yeah. I'm just kidding. It's all satire. I'm just making a mockery of the system. It's not intentional. That's Manuel.
So Manuel was Trump as performance art.
Pretty much, yes. Trump performance art is that's exact. He had this piece that I heard, and I haven't seen Manuel in years, but the piece that stands out to me the most is he talked about a 3-way sword fight. Now, when I say swords, what I mean is dicks with women who were trannies, but also not. Like that's
that was Manuel for sure. So you took 3 restarts to to talk about the guy. So that kind of tells you, got Green. We got this. Can we actually? I mean, I know it's a lot to ask, but I don't know if you're like the supermodels of the '90s, like it takes $10,000 to get out of bed. Can we actually hear you beatbox a little bit? Is this possible?
Sure, man. Yeah. It does cost $10,000, and I will find a way to get that out of you, Matt. I know you got it. Here we go. That's good enough.
That's amazing. That is far better than other people.
Far better than me.
Hey, so did you have you? I have 2 questions. It's a 2-part question. And I'll let you answer the first part of it. Have you ever heard Joe Pesci rap?
No, but I have heard Norman Lear rap. Actually, you know what? I might actually have heard Joe Pesci rap. But I can't remember. I can't. I'm at that age where like if you say it to me and I imagine it, I can't tell the difference between what I'm imagining and reality. So I now feel like I feel like you put it in me now. So I'm like, yeah, I've seen that, 100%.
So Joe Pesci, he had a song called "Wise Guy."
Yes, I have.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. But I was going to ask you, like, not have you heard him rap, but have you heard him rap in person?
Not in person, but I have heard "Wise Guys." Not in person though. No, not in person.
So like,
are you playing it?
I am.
Dude, like,
he was not tempted to do that while you were beatboxing.
no,
I can't laugh at all, but I felt it in me.
Listen,
it come out.
That's when that touches my heart. You know, like the thing about Joe Pesci is, if you ever get a chance to be in his presence, number one, he is very, very little, right? Like tiny dude, okay, and just scary, like really. Like you're like yeah, you've killed people, yeah, and you got away with it. Like he's that. Like you really feel intimidated, and not just because of the talent. Like there are cats that you meet in person, you're like, you're so good. Like like I was in the present. Like I met Bobby McFerrin, right? Bobby McFerrin's my idol. I met him in person, and it broke me. Like I'd seen him live. I never shook his hand. I know his son Taylor, but I had never actually been up close enough to have a conversation with him. And on my, I think I was, it was a birthday that I was having. I got to meet him on my birthday, and I saw him, and I broke in tears because I was like, dude, because of you, I am something. I am anything. And he was very humbled by that. Very nice, very generous with the time, and was very sweet to me. And but is that Joe Pesci's just scary. Like something about him is just like he doesn't give a fuck. And so I saw, as I was performing for him, he definitely was into it, but it was like this kind of like, like he's crossing his arms, and so I'm like, I don't know if you hate it, but he was moving to it, and it's all you can ask people like that. So, if he had started rapping, I don't know what I would have done. I think I would have passed out. But yeah, he's definitely a very scary man.
Okay, so another question: how are Norman Lear's skills on the mic?
So so Norman and I, and we were in Tennessee. And Steve Connell remembers this. We were in Tennessee, and Norman was 92 at the time. Okay, so he bought out the restaurant we were eating at. So it's just Norman, myself, Steve Connell, the actress Crystal, and like Norman's assistants, like 2 other people. That's it in the entire restaurant. And the hostesses and the waiters are bringing us all kinds of stuff, and it's like it's just tons of food and tons of alcohol. And Norman drinks like a sailor, like a damn. I mean, he handles his liquor. I don't, and at the time, neither did Steve. So Steve Connell gets wasted. Norman's drunk, but you can't really tell. And I just want to go home. And so we are there, and Norman starts to freestyle rap about a frog, and he's like, kick a beat. And so I'm beatboxing in this restaurant, shit-faced, with Norman Lear, who's older than us and drunker than us, but also able to walk home, and Steve, who later that night threw up in several plants in the hotel we stayed in. So yeah. So, but Norman's got some skills, man. Norman's is a genius man, and he's got some skills.
Are you sure, or were you drunk? I mean, like,
no. 100%. He it was clearly drunk rap.
How are you beatbox go like this?
Yeah, no, it's totally legit. 100%.
Okay. Next question.
Yeah.
Can you beatbox to poems about John Mellencamp? Is that possible?
Yeah, I'm sure I can. You gonna spit something for me?
I don't write poems about John Mellencamp. That's somebody else, man.
Joe does poems about John Mellencamp. Joe loves that's the cougar, right? Joe loves the cougar.
Yeah.
Joe has this. Is that the story where he opened for him? Yeah, Joe's got an amazing story about how he opened for Mellencamp, and it was not good. It was not well received. Well, they didn't want to see poetry; they wanted to see the cougar. And so Joe comes on stage, and he's like doing a poem that is an appreciation to John Mellencamp. And yeah. Oh, I got a question here.
You got a question?
Cool. Are you going to read it, or I have to read it? It says, Josh, can you talk about advocacy for youth? Art programs are rapidly closing at LUSD. Jay Davis, Eric Thomas, Noah Hayden. Okay. Yeah, man, that's real. Santa Monica So we do Downbeat 720. And what's up, Lalo? And
Shit, it was not the beginning.
yeah,
all right.
And yeah. How'd you meet Joe? You missed it. So City of Santa Monica is how we do Downbeat 720, which is a high school open mic. We've been doing it for 19 years, sponsored by City of Santa Monica, with put in the loving hands of Justin Yoff, who manages the Miles Memorial Playhouse. It was his idea. And it's sponsored by the city. Now, there's a lot going on right now, right? Like you've got the LAUSD system. You've got the Santa Monica school system. You got Culver City. And within LA, there are several school systems that are all struggling. You've got teachers who don't have the resources they need to conduct the classrooms that they are now experiencing. Like my daughter's teacher is figuring it out. He's never had to use Zoom before. He's figuring it out. And so to do a class on Zoom with like 20 first graders is impossible. So there's that. You also got the fact that teachers are getting sick as well. There's still not enough testing going around. So we're in a weird time. So on top of all this stuff, the art funding is going down as well, because certain cities don't feel like right now art is essential. I mean, so that's the unfortunate reality of art funding. There are definitely artist funding like PUA and DCA you can apply for, but even like PUA is strange, because PUA is one of those things where like you can apply if you didn't get unemployment, and if your unemployment ended, and if you get it, it only means that you get like $165 a month, a week. So you get $165 a week, which is nothing. And then I think it jumps up to $600 like in June. But it's weird. And the reality of it is there are lots of programs that are closing because there's just no funding, and because as artists we're all in need of money, and there isn't enough in the pot to pay us all like we deserve to be paid.
Yeah. What do we do?
Oh, he said, oh, wait, what I got questions. I see, I'm reading things slowly. I see Jesus Christ. And then he says, answer my question now. And then he said, and then Lalo came to our school. Listen, guys, talk to me, not each other. And then it says, holy fuck.
It just said, yeah.
It says, tell me and the other 2.5 people here, fuck you, Lalo. And then and change the name to Telecougar. All right, so can't poets live on? Yeah, listen, can't poets live on $1,200 a year? No. There has been talk about more money being put into the stimulus package down the road. There has been, if you're on unemployment, there has been an additional $600.
Joe got some money from the city.
Yeah, Joe got some money from DACA, but it was only like $400.
DCA.
Yeah, DCA. What DCA? Anyway, point is listen, I do. Lalo, relax. God damn it. Joe was stripping. I was there.
You were beatboxing.
I was beatboxing. He was dancing. It's funny. That's not far off from how we met. But long story short, Pocho, Joe, and I met at an event called Collab, done by Rachel Can, where it was an open mic for artists to come, and they had to collaborate with musicians on stage. I was always there as part of the band, the house band, and Joe said, I want the beatboxer. And then we definitely performed together a piece called A Love Supreme, where I beatboxed my version of John Coltrane's Love Supreme. And that became our piece. And then the rest is kind of history. Downbeat 720 was happening. Joe and I did the Latino Laugh Festival in 2007 together. And so now we are a married couple. Like, let's be real. Like I have my lady who's here with our son sleeping, and then I have Joe, and Joe's probably more of my wife than my lady. Like, it's real. Like, we got into it yesterday. Was it yesterday? We got into it, man. Like, we are I keep looking up how Key and Peele do it, and how, Abbott and Costello did it, and Laurel and Hardy, and like you look at Dean and Lewis, and they broke up. And they were golden.
Which one of you is like the funny man, straight man? Which one is you?
Oh man, that's a good question. So in the beginning, I was probably more of I think Joe was the straight man. Joe's the more earnest one in our relationship. He's the one that is, you got to look at his life. So his mom passed away about 8 or 9 years ago, and that lives there. So Joe's got that right on his chest plate, and so he can access that kind of raw sensitivity at any moment. So he's definitely more inclined to go into that emotional vulnerability, whereas I like to talk about my dick. So that's kind of like our relationship. He'll talk about his dead mom. I'm the cock man. And so that's kind of, but it depends. I mean, like, if you get a chance to watch our stuff on our Instagram page at Joe and Joshua, you'll see that I like to say that we are fine. We find the balance between hilarity and vulnerability, where everything we talk about is through our guise of like of our own lives, our own personal experiences. We never speak out of our own experience. So whether it's political or just emotional, or it's all about being real and finding the most authentic version to express our stories. And I think it's challenging because we're both very strong-minded men who have very big ideas, and we get into challenges about whose idea is better, and it's about sacrifice. And I come from a more improv background, so learning how to say yes and in those scenarios, it really calls upon that skill set. And it's also you're dicing up your personal story, and you're finding the poetic stuff in it, and it's heavy. And so we've been doing it for a long time, and we're in it. Are you in a gamer chair? No. If I'm in my theater. So this is my theater. There we go. And this is where I perform and do shit.
Yeah. So when you would do beatboxing behind people's poems, was it more on them to like switch up what they were doing, or more on you to like catch what they were doing?
This is a good question. This is kind of bring you to drop the mic. So to answer your question, I always say just go. Like I follow them. I feel like my job. It's like a drummer, or when you're accompanying an artist, it's your job to support them. Thanks, Lalo. It's your job to support them.
What did he say right there? I just wanted to see how you read that.
Hayole.
Okay, continue.
Oh my! So my Mexican, Mexican lady is.
You do the Latino Laugh Fest every year.
Yeah, well, we did.
I what a travesty!
Oh man, listen, she'll tell you I'm the biggest gringo she knows. Anyway, so yeah. Where was I? You distracted me, and I forgot where I was. I was talking about something. Beatboxing. So I'm accompanying them. It's not my job to steal the fucking spotlight. It's my job to support them and nurture whatever their story is. And so, there's a poet named Reeves who I think is still great, and I haven't seen him in years. But there's a piece that we did online together, and you can look it up on YouTube. And I think it's like he is Pocho Josh. I think it's like Lalo gave Pocho Joe, the Pocho Joe name. Is he was Lalo or Jeff? I think it might have been. I think it was Lalo, right?
I don't know. Well, I wasn't there.
I think Lalo gave him Pocho. And Lalo should know I ain't ever gonna be Pocho Josh. That shit ain't sticking. So
you and Joe should know that I'm Lalo Alker's favorite poet.
Oh shit. That's dope.
Yeah.
Big up to you, man. Lalo's got terrible taste, but good on you, man. Good on you. No. Matt's dope, dude. Like, I haven't been on the scene like I used to be because I'm fucking 80, but like Matt is fucking dope. You're welcome. So anyway, so yeah, I that was the thing that I was like really known for when I was coming up, is I was a great listener. Like, I could really predict what was going on in the poem and set the mood and set the pacing and really influence. It's kind of like when okay, I'm gonna nerd out a little bit. I'm gonna get real nerdy. In the and he hates poetry. Good on you, Lalo. And so there's we were just talking to someone whose job is to score films, right? And we were talking to this person about what that process is like. And I was bringing up, there are movies where you can tell the film is really bad and the actors couldn't emote correctly, and the music's there because they can't do it. The music influences the drama because otherwise you would not know it was dramatic, right? And a great example of this, in my opinion, of a film that is so bad that it needed the music to tell us how we should feel, because we would not have known, is The Amazing Spider-Man, and with Andrew Garfield. And if you watch it again, the music never stops. It just keeps, and you're like, when is it going to stop? And you're like, oh, they can't carry it. This film is so bad, they can't. So for me, as an artist with a musical background, my job was to be like, all right, I want to support, I don't want to get in the way. And that's kind of where I came at it. And so I always say, don't worry about listening to me. I got you. I'm here to support you. I'm your foundation. Because it feels good when you're playing in a band and you can just kind of sit in it and rest, and the band's got you. So that's kind of what it was. And that's kind of how I approached anything I do musically. And so that takes me to Drop the Mic, which was
I want to get into the part of the story where you leave us all behind, trying to scramble for like $400, $600 checks from the city. But first, I want to see, because you're talking about Reeves, you're talking about Pocho Joe, you're talking about people who are tremendously talented poets, tremendously talented writers, but they kind of take their time. They kind of whatever, right? Could you do what you do with someone who spits as fast as me?
Oh yeah, man! You kidding me? Listen, there was.
You want to do it?
Well, I mean, we can, but aren't you? I think I'm like 2 seconds after you.
I know, right? It's like a delay or something, huh?
So here's what we can do.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be tricky, but I'm trying to think. So why don't you go on Facebook and see it?
Let's see it. Okay, hold on.
And so we're gonna do this test. So you're gonna say, okay. So this says, I left LASD with a broken kneecap, fighting for my credential. Guys, talk to me. All right. So it's sad though. It's sad though that happened to her. So anyway, so go to. Are you on the Facebook?
Story, but talk to me.
Yeah, I stopped reading and then I started talking, and as I was talking, I was reading. I was like, "Ooh, shit! I'm saying shitty shit." Yeah, it's fucked up. Man. Okay, so we're doing we're trying to figure it out.
I don't have Facebook on my phone.
Okay, because Cynthia doesn't have Facebook on your phone.
I'm anti-Facebook.
She's anti-Facebook. I don't know. I need to figure out what they're hearing. Are they, because you're the host, so either I'm behind you or you're behind me. And as soon as I figure out what that is, I will do something together, and I'll be able to do it. Sorry about your sorry about their parents now. I'm old.
Yeah, they're having a conversation with each other. It's okay.
I know. What a bunch of assholes. All right,
I mean, like, strangely enough, Lalo Alcaraz is more compassionate than you, Josh. You know how bad a human being you have to be for Lalo Alcaraz to be more compassionate than you? Really?
I got 3 kids, dude. I ain't got time. Like, I'm doing art every day. I ain't got time for compassion. No, I'm kidding. Oh, so we're downloading Facebook. You got it? Is it on there?
What? No, it's low as hell.
Are you on the Wi-Fi network? We're old as shit. All right, we'll come back. We're gonna figure this out and we'll come back.
All right. We'll save it for the grand finale. Okay, so let's get to the part where you leave us all in the dust. Tell us about Drop the Mic.
Okay, so, I love comedy. I think that Dave Chappelle was talking about this recently about how there is no other art form that is like stand-up, and there's a weird almost friction between the spoken word world and the stand-up world, right? Like, you can't go to a comedy venue and do spoken word, and you can't go to a spoken word venue and do comedy. Like, you can do a poetic, you can do a comedic poem, but if you just like, I saw it happen. I saw this stand-up comic come to the lounge one time. It felt weird. It felt like, we ain't here for that. And I've seen cats who are poets come to comedy events and just do poetry that are not meant to be funny, and it's uncomfortable. And so there's a weird thing where Amy Poehler does, like, she hates on poetry a lot. Like, Amy Poehler does. Tina Fey hates on poetry. Like, a lot of people in the improv world and stand-up world don't like the spoken word world. So I found myself feeling like, all right, well, I wanna embrace my comedy roots, and so I ended up through beatboxing being part of an event called Turns Up that was created by Eliza Skinner. And Eliza Skinner's out of New York. She works with another beatboxer named Shockwave. Shockwave is a friend of mine. He's right now he's doing Broadway with Freestyle Love Supreme. So that whole world. So Eliza Skinner comes to LA and is like, yo, I want to do my show. I heard you're the guy. We become friends and we do this freestyle comedian rap battle for like 7-8 years at UCB. Now, Eliza goes on to work for the Late Show with Corden, and her and Jensen Karp began to talk about this concept of Corden rap battling other actors, and they call it Drop the Mic. And Eliza's like, you got to get my boy, and so they bring me in, and that was it. That was kind of the history. And so, because I had been doing, comedy with Joe for several years now on the side, and we would go to the lounge every now and then and do our pieces there. Because we have the poetry background, we know how to sculpt material where it feels like you're doing a poem, but it's like stand up really, because it's monologue format. And so we would end up doing other comedy spots, and so I was developing my face in the comedy world. And so when Turns Up came, comics who knew me were like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then all of a sudden I ended up on this late show, and I became the first beatboxer of late night. And so Drop the Mic on Corden starts in 2016. In 2017, TBS and TNT pick it up as a separate half an hour show. They cast Method Man as the host and Haley Baldwin as the co-host. They get Newmark as the DJ, and I'm the only constant that stays on for the entire run of the show. And it is. We'll get into it in a second, but it is such a strange show to do, and there's lots of stories there. And but yeah, you get celebrities who are all of a sudden not in their comfort zone. Like these are actors; they don't rap. And every now and then we'll get a musician, like we had Randall Park on. And what people know about Randall Park is Randall Park from Fresh Off the Boat is actually an MC. He used to be in a band called Illigan way back in the day. And I had forgotten that was him. So he shows up and he's like, hey guys, I'm going to rap, but I don't know if it's good or not. And he wrote his own rhymes that he ended up going against James Vanderbeek.
Oh no.
And he destroyed James. Like it was, when Randall and I were rehearsing, I'm like, Randall, you're an MC. And then it wasn't until I got home and talked to a friend of mine who was like, "You remember him, right? Like he did your show as Randall Park from Illigan." And I was like, "Oh my god," you know. And so, but most of the time, you get cats who've never rapped and are very uncomfortable. And I tell them, like I tell poets, just do your thing, and I'll follow you. So, for example, we had Jerry Springer on, and he went up against Ricky Lake. Ricky Lake had no problem finding the rhythm, and she was great. Like if you could find the rhythm, you're easy, right? But old man Jerry Springer did not have rhythm and did not understand the concept of the downbeat or the one and the in the three or the two and the four. Like it didn't exist. And so it took one try and he was all over the place. And it took a second try and he got a little better. And then I looked to the executive producer and I was like, hey, give me one more shot with him. And I found his rhythm. And if you watch that episode, you can't tell that there are two takes where he just was doing something else. But then you got cases like my man who plays football who just retired, the Gronk. Huh?
He's coming back.
He's coming back to what? Are you really?
Yeah.
Oh shit! I shouldn't be talking about this. Well, the Gronk, and he's a good guy, man. So Gronk, if you watch this, don't come at me, dude. He's a football player, giant white boy.
Yeah.
He didn't know that he was on the beat, and we at the last second discovered that we couldn't save him. And so he does the show against Gina Rodriguez without any beat because he just couldn't do it. And so he's the only one I have not found. And I was like, you're my white whale, Gronk. Like he got away from me. He's the only one. I feel like another guy was on the show who didn't want a beat and he lost, but that was his choice. And I was like, whatever. But yeah. Out of all the celebrities we had, I was able to, I found all of them. I was able to make them sound like they had rap skills, lots of rehearsal. Jason Mewes of Jay and Silent Bob went up against Kevin Smith in like one of the last seasons. Kevin's great. I had met Kevin years ago at Virgin Megastore where I used to work. And I was like, hey, Kev, I beatbox. Put me in one of your movies. And he had his daughter with him at the time, Haley. And we sat Harley. We sat in the corner of Virgin Megastore while I beatboxed for him. And so he kind of remembered me like years later. And he was like, oh my God, look at you. You got your own show now. And super, super nice. And tweeted about me. And it was super kind to him. But yeah, man, he was great. Jason Mewes didn't want to rehearse. And so Jason was sitting in his green room while I was hanging out going, hey, man, we got to rehearse. And he was like, I got this. And he was sitting there eating pizza, binge watching he was watching Daredevil. So he was binge watching Daredevil, eating pizza. I think he was a little high. And so we go to tape and he has a hard time. It was a hard time. It was a hard taping. And then you got people who just flat out get casted to do the show and then don't show up. Just didn't show up. Like, didn't want to do it. Freaked out. Can't do it. I want to do it. So it was a very interesting show. I mean, there were days where I'd show up to set, ready to work, and we would have no talent because people just were supposed to be there. And then, you watch the producers and showrunners try to scrounge and find people. So you get these weird mashup battles that don't make any sense. Or you get like the Muppets were on. And the Muppets rap out each other. And as a Jim Henson fan, I was like, oh my God, it's Kermit and Miss Piggy. And oh my God. And I got to hang out with those guys and they were super cool. And then my family and I went up to New York and visited them all on the set of Sesame Street and hung out with them there. And I got to see an old friend of mine named Leslie, who is the puppeteer and voice of Abby Cadabby. And so that was super dope. And so there, to cap on that, the show is not on the air currently because, and this is the rumor. So, I'm not going on record saying this is what actually happened. This is what I was told by people who probably are right. But this is the rumor that when Warner Brothers or AT&T acquired TBS and TNT, which I didn't even, when AT&T did that, I was like, they're not done? I guess they're not done. So they acquired TBS TNT, and then they scrapped a bunch of shows. Drop the Mic never got scrapped, but they also removed all the YouTube videos from the site. So you can't. For like the last season we shot was in 2018. So since like the end, like since they bought out them like a year ago, up until about maybe a few weeks ago, you couldn't see. There were no Drop the Mic clips online anymore.
You have to find them.
You have to like find them from like people who film the TV themselves or whatever. Like there just weren't any. And so if you go to my YouTube page, that feed was just empty. And so they removed them. And the thought was they removed them because they weren't fans of the show. They didn't like it. They knew it was a big moneymaker for them. But so we're still on hiatus. We haven't been officially canceled. We haven't been renewed. So we're kind of in this weird limbo where no one's currently working on the show. We still shoot the segment of Drop the Mic on the Late Late Show. So before the quarantine, we were supposed to shoot John Cena rap battling Corden. But as far as the actual TBS TNT show goes, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen with it. It's still unclear. We think that AT&T wants to put it on their streaming platform. And then once they do that, they'll start charging you for it, and then the show will come back. But yeah, man, every now and then I get a text from like the makeup artist or like an assistant who's like, "Do you know anything?" And I'm like, "No, do you know anything?" So
what is your professional assessment of John Cena's skills on the mic?
John Cena, man, he listen, wrestling is an art form that is wildly underappreciated. And was Ronda Rousey quit recently, or maybe I heard she quit, but maybe it's a rumor. But I think she quit because she was like, the fans are full of shit. But it could be a stint, And but when you really watch these cats who put their bodies through what they put them through in the ring, I'm all about. People who do that to entertain the fans, I find to be very, very. I think it's a really true art form. People who are like, I'm gonna put myself in harm's way just to make you cheer louder. Right. And I think women and men are doing that. It's a very dangerous profession. It's a hard art form. And so the fact that Cena was able to do that and then come out of that but kind of still stay in it, and also become like a leading man in Hollywood, or be considered to be a comedic actor. I haven't heard his rap skills yet because that episode got canceled because we went to quarantine. We weren't able to do it, but apparently he's cool on the mic. Apparently people say he can rap. I got to work with his I think they were they married at the time, like his wife or his ex or his girlfriend. The Bella, whatever the Bella sisters are, like they were on Drop the Mic and they had skills. But good on him, man. He's got a career, and he's white, so it's that much easier. But still, like, he's got a career where he's working, and it's a hard game to make it in. And if anyone's making it in a career like that, I'm
right. But the thing I will say in John Cena's defense is that his raps are still on YouTube as opposed to your show. So
Yeah.
Damn.
Who's better at it than I am? John Cena.
Right. So I see a Big Bird icon down here.
Yeah.
Says, all right, I've downloaded Facebook.
Yeah, that's my lady.
Well, I was gathering from your story about the Muppets that might be the case.
We were on set. We got to hang out with Big Bird and Elmo, and I got to rap battle Cookie Monster. Oscar the Grouch. I got to hang out in the trash can. It was kind of a dream come true, and man, Sesame Street, bring me back.
It's like a good dream where, I don't know. If I were stuck in with Oscar the Grouch, that might not be the best. That's like one of those like horrifying childhood, like, that sounds a little traumatic.
It was, you know what, like, those guys are, so damn talented when you get to watch them work in person. Like the fucking This thing alone is exactly unlike my lazy ass for 100%. Like, totally like this shit. Although Lalo, I'm doing 3 shows a day, goddammit. So
this is the 67th interview I've done in like 6 days.
Yeah, see, look at that. Look at that. I was watching your
Gary Baca. I don't have triple G. I don't have slow motion. I don't have 5G helping me out.
Exactly. Yeah, man. I was watching oh man, I can't remember his name of your boy from was he from Ireland? Where's he from? He was a saxophone player. He used to be incarcerated.
Yeah, Dan.
Yeah.
Dan. In the French wine cellar.
Yeah, that was intense. That was intense. But I loved what was really funny was watching that episode with you and seeing, like, because you were having a huge tech issue that day, and it was interesting to watch him get aggravated. You answer the question, but he would not know you answered the question, and him just kind of get flustered. I thought it was pretty fun. See him kind of trail off, be like, I can't figure out why it's right, and then do his thing. That was pretty great.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough about you. More of me.
More of you. More of the supposed skill you have of matching up your beatboxing to poetry that's not at the speed of Reeves.
Yeah, man. They're all slow.
Reeves is a very talented guy. Reeves is a talented guy, but I'm just saying, that doesn't seem like it'd be difficult to beatbox to. I mean, it's like
you're right. I'm not impressive. No. Okay. You figure out what the delay is.
You guys, but it's like.
What is it? Okay, so we're figuring out the delay. Oh, Judy's making fun of me. Thanks, Judy. Ha, slow mo 5G, just like Joshua. I'm a slow mo 5G. Hey, Mom. I'm on a pod. What do you want to call? What do you call this? This isn't a podcast. This is
this is okay. After we're done, I'm gonna tell you where this thing's headed. You're gonna be like, "What? Why the fuck did I say all those things?" But this is actually, I'm not like famous like you. I don't get to do whatever, but I'm actually far more like prestigious. I'm a much more dignified figure in many ways, so I have like certain connections to certain things, and so you'll see.
Okay, dope. I'm getting made fun of. I already beatbox. God damn it, you missed it. I do it once. That's it.
It's alive. Yeah, that's what Judy Holiday says. It's alive. It's alive. That's going somewhere. I'll tell you when I turn this off. I'll tell you because I don't want to tell you before. I don't want it to affect you. All right.
Oh no, but I wish you would have told me because that would have been better. Maybe.
No. And that's not why I brought you on here. I didn't bring you on here for dignity.
I have it. I got 3 kids.
No, you really, no. You really fucked me up, man. Because I came in, I'm like, this guy is a ridiculous bastard. And you came to tell a story, a harrowing tale of finding your identity, and oh, my dad was Jewish, my mom was African. I didn't know who I was in this world. And you tell this whole story that's so emotionally gut wrenching right after I introduced you like an asshole. And you didn't become the person I know you to be until 20 minutes into the interview. So
you gotta go slow, man. It's a journey. If I start talking about my dick and balls in the beginning, people turn off. Okay, so I think, all right, I don't know what Judy is talking about. So that's the thing. We're watching the feed now on Facebook, and so I'm seeing what the delay is. Can you figure out what the I guess it doesn't matter. I guess we're seeing what it is.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool. So what I'm learning is we're seeing whatever people are watching is what it is. Versus if you watch a Zoom meeting, there's what you're seeing in the Zoom world, and then what actually is being displayed. And this apparently there's no difference. So we can try doing a piece together, and however it sounds is how it sounds. You want to go for it?
Sure. Ready?
Let's bring the suck. All right, here we go.
all right. I just want to see if you do it at the speed. All right. Yeah.
Okay.
Sundown, Levittown, Fort Apache, Dirty Harry, John Wayne, Blackface, Miniman, Moonhand, Gone with the Wind, Breaking Bad. Confederate flag. Sword, the Dollar, the Cannon, the Star, the Cavalry, the Ivy League histories written by lightning is the rising smoke of burning village. Ways these victors keep their victims front of these notes on State of Virginia, fraction, expansion, the way the West Lewis and Clark Smith and West on Circle the Wagon with bloodshed, slave sweat, the crack of the wood, blow up, reconstruction, the housing covenants that greeted great migrations, the same to the Mexicans before Mexico. So close to Monroe Doctrine. To prison industrial complex, a war on drugs, a war on our young. We from Mad. 15 ounce East Oakland, West Baltimore, South Plymouth Rock, Jamestown, Rio Grande, All right, that's that. It is what it is, and accordingly, we got a critic here.
Well, we got a tech critic, so
yeah,
you know. whenever we get, I'm like, I can't, you know, like this is the reality, right? Like everyone and their mama is online right now. Like no one was prepared for any of this shit. Like the fact that like Instagram keeps having malfunctioning errors. Like Instagram wasn't like, oh wait, we're all on me. Like no one planned on this, and so the internet is slowing down. And so the fact that we're able to do any of this shit is great. Let's see. So Judy says, balls, Matt is buried sound-wise, damn. But I heard Joshua.
Did I lose?
Right. No, yeah. I don't know. Again, we were in it together. So if someone lost, then I failed. We both fail.
Yeah, I don't know, but she said, but I heard Joshua. That sounds like I failed. That sounds like I saw. No, it sounds like you somehow defeated me in a collaboration.
Yeah, we were battling. What people didn't understand about that is we were actually in a battle. Matt had this dumbass idea about, hey, how about I poetry battle your beatboxing? And Matt, that's dumb. Okay, let's do it. And then I won. What's happening?
I failed in my own game. That was like, that's the worst.
Judy, you missed the whole Green conversation. The reason why I even know of Judy is because of Green, and I'm struggling because I know I'm struggling. I keep feeling that because I know I've known her for so long, and it's like that's how I know her. But yeah, Judy Holliday is someone who her poetic journey I feel like blossomed at Green. So once again,
Judy Holliday, and this is correct. I see, Josh. This has never happened. That the people here are talking to each other, and now I'm going to talk to the people there instead of you. Judy Holliday, how did you get your name, Judy Holliday?
Oh, can she talk about that?
Can she? I don't know.
I don't know if she's there anymore.
Oh, I
think she said, "I'm glad to see your faces." Usually, when someone gives you a compliment, they leave. Oh, she came back. Okay. Oh, she was watching Derek Brown. Oh, you're watching Derek Brown. You said Derek Brown. No, Derek's dope. Derek's dope. Is that where this is going? This is going to Derek Brown? Derek, good dope. So Matt wants to know how you got your.
I know the answer.
Okay.
I know the answer, but it harkens back to another individual, a nefarious individual we were talking about. I'm just trying to have a world like a small place, you know. That's it.
It's very small. It's weird, so I was in West Africa back in like 2000 and something, and I was there and like ran into people who knew me from LA, and I was like, that's fucking crazy, but Matt wanted to know how you got your name. Is Josh in I'm in my own theater, brother Leon. What's up, Leon Pierce?
Or Leon.
Brother Leon's an amazing filmmaker. Yeah, he makes films.
I remember. I need to like get out of like talking to you mode because like I'm going back and forth with you. I'm going back and forth with you being an asshole, right? Like I'm about to direct that energy to someone I haven't talked to in 10 years and just be like, oh yeah, like I need to like.
Well, okay. So Judy says she got her start with Jedi and Rat Packet, Slam McGreen on Vince. But yeah, we talked about that. But Matt wanted to know how you got your name. Oh, you got it from a compliment. Okay. Was it from Manuel?
Manuel earlier. Yeah.
Was it from Manuel? Was it a Manuel compliment? We talked about Manuel, and I said Manuel would be Trump if Trump was a performance artist. That's kind of how I broke it down. If Trump was just kidding, he'd be Manuel. And again, to call back to his later, I was just being sarcastic about the, drinking shit. What up, Kaylin? Ooh, wow, butchered your name. I know who you are, girl. Kaylin, young blood with the beard colorway. Ooh, wow. Yeah, I got the grays, man. I just cut it. It was longer.
Yeah, just for Josh.
Glad to see y'all doing some cool and creative and engaging in these crazy times. Yeah, man. Again, like I do. So if you're curious, Matt, I do a show every single day at 11 a.m. with Cynthia, where we talk about the news. So just news talk. We riff. We should talk soon, Leon. We riff about the news, what's going on in the world. It's kind of cool because we'll talk about it, and then I'll go to the post office in my car, and I'll hear the NPR, and I go, haha, we did this first. So every day news. I mean, Monday through Sunday, we've done it literally every day for like 3 weeks now. It's like a full month now.
I don't know what day it is.
I don't know what day it is. So we've done it every day. And then Joe Hernandez-Kolsky and I were doing a comedy show where we interview musical guests. We had Roger Gwenvere Smith on a couple of days ago. We interviewed him. We did that every Monday through Friday. And then I also teach a creative writing class at 9 a.m. Through Saturday. So
that'll keep you sane.
You will.
I believe you are the 9th person I've talked to today.
Okay.
And I talked to 10 people yesterday, and 9 people
wow.
did for that, and 9 people did for that. So.
And you're going to tell me afterwards, I imagine, where this is all going.
Yeah. I'm not just going to do this. I mean, like at first I was,
Yeah.
I'll tell you how it started. I was I gave myself this crazy writing schedule. Like every single hour was accounted for. I'm going to work on this part of the poem this day, this much, this from 1 to 2, from 3 to 4. I was doing that for about a week and a half, or maybe 2 weeks. And I'm a raging egomaniac, but I'm not a narcissist. I need to talk to other people. I need to interact with other people.
Sure.
And so then I started doing a couple, and then all of a sudden this was supposed to be my hobby to break the tension or whatever. And, I'll put the camera on people, let them tell their stories. Who doesn't want to do that? So I said, okay, that's what I'll do. I'll just to break the monotony of just focusing on work. And then all of a sudden I happened to me, and the next thing I know, I'm doing 10 a day.
Wow.
Because, I'm Mexican, I got.
Yeah, you're hey, man. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So I feel that. I mean, we're the same way. So before the quarantine happened, so Cynthia's a photographer, and she's a docu photographer. So she's about documenting the world around her and everything through her art. And so we were like, all right, let's turn our garage into a workspace. So I can do theater, and she can do photo shoots. So we legit turned it into a theater. Again, I'll take you around, and you can see. We've got this is the full. There's Cynthia. Don't be on camera. Okay, and then we got the full lighting rigs and everything. It's legit, and behind the curtains, we've got pull down color. What do you call them? Seamless. So we can do shoots as well. So portraits. So if you're ever watching our shows. The morning show or Joe and Joshua stuff, we shoot it here, and Joe appears on a screen next to me, so it's kind of like we're in the same space together. But yeah, man, and so Cynthia logged on and said, I do my writing class every day, Monday through Saturday at 9 a.m. Yeah. We do sessions, so this session's ending tomorrow, and then we'll begin a whole new session on Monday. And if you are interested in that, just shoot me a message and I'll talk to you about it. Judy, Jasmine's in that class with me. I don't know if you remember Jasmine from Green, but Jasmine's in that class. Now Leon's talking to Judy. What the fuck is this? God damn it! About me. Brought me on this show to have other people come together. That's okay. I'll take it.
I mean, you know, and I remember everyone here fondly, but these are not people I talk to that often. So I mean, like, so that's
take it,
on you more. I mean, I will take the blame for Lalo Alcaraz.
Yeah.
I accept that. I accept that. But you know,
yeah,
is what it is.
No, okay. That's my superpower. I bring people together. I'll take it.
You bring people together to ignore you. Yes.
Exactly. That's how it is. They all come out to see me, and then they all together turn their backs at the same time. It's good.
Oh yeah, no, but Judy, you missed the whole story of Norman Lear rapping and all kinds of.
Missed a lot, but is it? You're archiving these? So
it's archived, yeah. Everyone can watch the whole thing. So yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Great.
So I'm gonna go now.
Okay, me too.
Yeah,
I got to do shit.
Yeah.
Shout out to everyone watching. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Matt, you're a rock star. I'm glad you're doing shit.
Drop your plugs. So you know.
Yeah. So follow us on Instagram at Joe and Joshua or at the Joshua Silverstein on IG. We got tons of content there. Check that shit out. We're doing lots of great stuff every single day. Pocho Joe and I just released a new video. That's it. That's a response to Trump saying you should maybe try drinking bleach, which he was just kidding about. Ugh, yuck. So anyway, holler at me. Again, Matt, thanks so much, dude.
And make sure to drop the links there. And don't go. I got to tell you something. Oh, shit.
Oh, okay. How do I drop the links?